down with my client. I am doing a flame reflective reading um real quick. And so is Kayla in the chat? Miss Kayla, are you here yet, my love? If y'all didn't just catch the live that I did a couple hours ago, it actually was a really good live, talking about the mind and how we're supposed to dethrone the mind so that we can live in alignment with our truth. And so if y'all didn't catch that, it is available on YouTube. Mm. Hey, Kayla girl, thank you for your patience today, babe. I just sent you an invite. You can turn on your camera if you want to, or you can keep it off. It doesn't matter. This is a flame reflective reading. Or you don't have to come up if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. But this is a flame reflective reading for our girl Kayla. Thank you, Kayla, so much for allowing us to witness you today. The reason why I like to do or offer these on live is because maybe I say something that somebody else needs to hear, and so I really appreciate your vulnerability.
Yeah, sure. Hi there. Happy Thursday. I think it's Thursday.
Yes, girl, I don't even know what day it is. At this point, life has been passing me by so quick, I just don't know. I can't keep up. But happy Thursday, my love. Oh hey, Memory.
Thank you.
I got you right after this, Memory. And so okay, good. So this is the flame reflection reading. And so what I like to do is start off with the themes that are happening in your life. And so I'm going to give you 3 themes that might be looping in your life. And then we're going to go through and see where you are right now and then where you need to move. Okay. On top of that, I also have another, because this is from my Oversoul Codex. I don't know if you know this, but I created it's like a tarot deck, but it's not. And it's very soul encoded. So it talks about emotional things or soul things that are happening in your life right now. And that's what this reading is about. And then I also created another deck to tell you what some of your soul gifts and stuff like that are. And so we're going to just start there. Okay.
Okay.
And so, first, thank you, Memory. I appreciate you, my love. All right. So let's see what things are repeating for Kayla right now. Ooh. Okay. Ooh, okay. Gotcha. All right, Kayla. So the first thing that I get is this Page of Flame energy. And she's gorgeous. We love her. Sorry, I'm showing YouTube too. So the first thing that I get is this Page of Flame energy. And this is actually in the upright position. And so this is about curiosity. It's about soul discovery. It's about having a youthful passion or a creative spark or a new path that's emerging for you. Okay. So the Page of Flame is the child of the fire, the one who carries the flame with innocence, with wonder, and with openness. This card speaks to a new soul cycle, one where you are beginning again. And so that means not from lack this time, but from remembrance. Okay. So you may be learning how to walk with your gifts in a fresh way, feeling inspired by a new path, or reconnecting with your creative essence after a long bout of silence. This card is a yes to exploration, a yes to trying, learning, expressing, and letting the fire be imperfect but true. Meaning, like, it's not about perfectionism at all. It's about you doing what feels good to you, right? And so you're being invited into sacred experimentation where you let joy lead. Meaning, if it feels good, that's a yes, move towards it. That's getting closer to soul alignment. If it feels bad, that's a no, choose another option. Okay. And so let spirit teach you. And this is the phase of feeling the warmth of your flame again without needing to master it. It's not about mastery, it's not about perfection. Okay. It's about resonance. And so this card is telling you that your flame does not have to be perfect to be powerful. All right. And so I don't know if that means that you've been stuck in perfectionism or if you're trying to learn to explore yourself through a new lens. Okay.
Okay.
So that's our first one. Our second one is the Five of Breath, and this is the distorted guide, but it is actually in shadow. Okay, and so this is about doubt. It's about internalized distortion, confusion, mental chaos, and self-erasure. Okay. And so in the shadow, this card reveals that you may be still operating under someone else's authority. You may fear trusting your own insight, waiting for validation, or carrying the subtle programming of someone who once claimed to know better than you. This can be reflected as internal gaslighting, where you distrust your own wisdom because of past manipulation. The danger here is disempowerment by influence disguised as intuition. You may hear a voice and think that it's divine when it's simply just conditioned. Okay. So don't confuse conviction with clarity. Some voices are just louder, they're not truer. And so what this card is talking about is um specifically where I see this is people who have like critical parents, right? Or parents who wanted them to show up in a specific way. What'll happen is when they get out of the home, they're so used to that voice antagonizing them or criticizing them that they internalize that voice and now they're doing it to themselves. Right. And so what this card is basically saying is be wary of the voices that are in your head. Just because it's something that keeps repeating and it's loud doesn't mean that it's your actual truth. I just did a live a couple of hour ago. I think you said you jumped on for a brief second where I was talking about your mind just keeps repeating the trauma or repeating the experiences. And so your mind operates based off of assumption. It doesn't really operate based out of truth. And so there's a need for you to manage your mind a little bit here. Okay.
Okay.
And then next we get the Knight of Water. Okay. And this is the lover. These are the lovers. Okay. But this is also in shadow. Okay. And so with this card being in shadow, it's about emotional impulsivity, avoidance of reality, mood driven choices, and ungrounded promises. So in the shadow, the water holder becomes a siren to their own illusions. You may rush into love or inspiration without grounding, driven more by the high emotion than reality, the reality beneath it. So feeling becomes truth even when you shift like the tide. Okay. So this card is really a card of emotional reactivity. Um, this Knight in shadow may also make promises that they can't keep, not out of manipulation, but out of deep yearning to merge. It's also prioritizing other people's needs in front of your own. I think a lot of times when we want to belong or we want to be a part of something, we might say yes to things preemptively in the moment, and then we get home and we just like, why did I say yes to that? That's not what I actually wanted to do. Why did I commit to this? Right. And then we feel bad for having to either break the promise or we go out of obligation and duty and then we feel exhausted. Right. And so this is about you saying yes in a moment only to retreat when it becomes real. Beware of chasing connection to fill a void rather than to deepen your truth. So the advice of this card is not everything you feel is a soul contract, right? And what I like to tell people when I see this card is anytime somebody asks you to do something, say, I got to think about it. Go home, sit with the feeling first, because when you get away from that person, it feels different. Okay. And then you can move based off of authenticity instead of just wanting connection. So overextending yourself. Okay. So those are the things that I'm coming up with. Does it make sense? Does it resonate?
Yeah, it resonates. All three of them do.
Okay.
The first one, you talked about the flame.
Yeah.
And most people that meet me sort of kind of like compare me to like a flame when they describe me.
Yeah.
And the second one, I think the voice or like the overarching opinion is kind of like, I used to be like super Christian, and I'm kind of like unlearning a lot of those mindsets and those ways of like doing and being. And so that I can see what that meant. Yeah. And then the third one resonates too. Yeah. I enjoy like helping people, but sometimes that does come at like sacrificing myself.
Yeah, for sure. Does your new journey feel scary to you?
No, it doesn't feel scary. I know, I feel very firm and confident in it. Yeah. I just think like a lot of times like old ways of doing are more like powerful than what the new has shown me. Like I just haven't discovered enough. That's a better way to put it. Got you. Okay.
I got you, my love. All right, let's see where you are right now. Hold on. Sorry, Spirit is talking in my ear. Okay. All right, my love. Okay.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on.
Where is she at right now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you.
You can hear me now? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Pause real quick, okay? I cannot shake this grief that I'm feeling. I can't shake this grief that I'm feeling, Kayla, and I don't want to pry because I know we're on live, and if you want me to do this in the chat, I can. But my chest is hurting, and Spirit is saying that there's a need for you to trust yourself, to be able to lead yourself, and pretending to be okay. And it feels like, I don't know, it feels very scared. It also feels sad and alone. And I don't know if that means that you're going against the grain or you're doing things differently than people before you, and so you don't have the support that you need. But that doesn't feel good at all.
You're fine. I don't mind doing it on live.
Okay.
I don't.
Does that?
It's okay.
What am I tapping into? Is that? Are you feeling like that?
That's typically the case. I typically do a lot of things on my own, and I don't necessarily have support. Like my parents were teenagers when I was born, and I'm the oldest child, and like they battle with substance abuse, so I've like often been on my own. But like if there's a current grief, like I am going through a breakup that is, and I don't even know if it's a breakup. It's just really weird right now. Yeah. And it is heavy. It's definitely heavy.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I just need to get that off of me because I was trying to figure that out and it was weighing on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had to make sure you were okay because you do feel really alone and sad and all of those things. And so, okay, that makes sense. All right. Where else is she at right now? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So the first card that I get is the card of sacred lack. And I think a lot of times when we think of lack, we think about like scarcity and money and things like this. However, sacred lack is more so about like rejection wounds and over identifying with struggles. Sometimes it looks like martyrdom or wounds of being unworthy or this fear of abundance, you know? So in the shadow side, this 5 of stone becomes a cycle of self-abandonment. And I think you mentioned that before. I definitely feel that. I feel like you've been everything to everybody, but you haven't got a lot of that back in return. And I think that it feels a little bit like people pleasing. It feels a little bit like martyrdom, wanting that connection, but abandoning yourself to have that connection, being smaller or being less visible in that, or not receiving back what you are giving out, right? And so that goes back to needing to trust yourself, you know, and I don't know if there's been like recent isolation or whatever. But one thing that I was dealing with within this self-abandonment was not trusting myself in relationships. And I didn't realize that's why I wasn't allowing people to be close to me without abandoning myself. Okay. And so what this card is saying is that you may have learned to expect lack even when abundance is available to you. Perhaps rejection has etched itself into your identity, or you've come to believe that being unsupported is proof of your purpose. Okay, the unsupported energy. That's what it feels like to me, okay? And this card may also point to emotional or energetic exile, feeling left out, feeling undervalued, feeling unseen. And in those moments, it's easy to internalize the external and decide that the world's silence means that you are unworthy. But this is the greatest distortion of all time, right? The truth is that your worth was never dependent on who chose you. You're already chosen. And so the shadow of sacred lack dissolves the moment you claim yourself again. And you don't build a home from what was never meant for you to hold, right? What other people decide to do is not a reflection of you. And so this card is about you remembering your worth outside of people and not needing that to be externally validated. You actually meeting yourself, right? Instead of looking for someone else to see you fully, for someone else to understand you, is calling you to understand yourself, to see yourself fully, meet your own needs, which requires you to set healthy boundaries, to say no, to show up authentically, because if you don't, it robs you of those genuine connections. Okay. And so this is one of the cards on where is she at right now. Okay. There's some lack that is happening in your reality around feeling unsupported in your relationships. Okay. Next we have the Two of Waters, which is the sacred mirror, but this is also in reverse. Okay. And this is about illusion of oneness, emotional fusion, projection, love addiction, or identity loss and connection. And so in the shadow side, the sacred mirror becomes a distortion. Instead of reflecting you back to yourself, it may project your soul's longing onto someone else and believe that they complete or define you. Emotional enmeshment can arise. You may feel responsible for their feelings or forget where your truth ends and theirs begins. And so this card warns of the illusion of oneness, mistaking closeness for union or connection for wholeness. You might be chasing soulmates to avoid being with yourself, or the mirror only becomes sacred when you know who you are without it. And so the advice of this card is a mirror should reveal you, not replace you, meaning that be careful when you're moving in relationships with other people that you're not looking for people to fill some type of void. You want them to be reflecting and challenging you. Is like two whole people coming together and then moving through life together and growing and evolving together, right? But they're not responsible for your your emotional needs and physical needs. You're not responsible for theirs, right? Everybody's responsible for themselves, but they come together and kind of live this existence together. And so this is basically saying, don't merge so quickly with other people, so much so that you get lost in other people, because there's a difference between connection and attachment. Okay. The last one is the Page of Stone. Okay. And this is the Stone Bearer. And this is upright, which is about embodiment. It's about getting in your body. And it's also about humble beginnings and physical alignment, and sacred service, right? Because service is sacred. The part of us that wants to serve other people is the part of us that remembers what it was like to be in divine union with other people, to be fully met, to be fully seen, right? And so we remember that and we try to teach people that, but we get stuck in these martyr loops because we try to show them. And sometimes that comes from this place of desperation, or this place of trying to teach them how to do it, but it's not our job to fix, save, or heal anybody. We need to become the embodiment of the thing, and they learn by us doing it, by them witnessing us, right? And so the Page of Stone appears as a student of embodiment, one who is just beginning to understand what it means to carry a sacred flame in the physical world. This card signals a new phase of grounded exploration, where ideas become practice and soul gifts begin to take form in your lived reality. And so you may be launching a project, discovering a new part of your purpose, or learning how to walk more fully in your body's wisdom. Now, there is excitement here, but it also requires vulnerability, because the page knows that they are still becoming, and the key is not mastery, it's willingness. And I think when we get stuck in, I have to have it all together, I have to be perfect. It robs us of being willing to try new things because we stick with predictability because that's what keeps us safe, right? And so this card warns against, being in your ego identity, and it asks you to explore yourself more fully and to allow yourself to be multiple things instead of just one thing, right? To be willing to try something new, to be willing to try another option. So when this card arises, it affirms that your first step matters. What you offer, even if it's in early form, is valuable. And so start small, because even small is sacred. Trust the wisdom of your body as your first teacher, right? If it feels good to you, that's a yes, move towards it. But if it feels bad, that's a no. It's not in alignment anymore. Choose another option. Okay. The lesson here is that you don't have to know everything to begin something, right? And so you just need to start. You just need to be willing to start, to go after what it is that you say that you want. Okay. What direction are we moving? Do you have any questions or anything so far, Kayla?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Are you okay, my love?
I will be.
Okay. Well, good. I love to hear that. I'm sorry that you hurt him, my love. I do feel the pain and the heaviness of that. And I think it's really hard to move forward and to say that you're not okay. I think that was one of the hardest parts of my journey, was to admit to myself that things had to be different in order for me to survive it and to get out of the, looking at life like things are happening to me and realizing that I do have some control. It just doesn't look like the control I built for myself. It doesn't look like me trying to make people show up in the way that I need them to in order for me to feel safe. It looked more like me standing in my integrity, me honoring myself and what my needs are and going after those things. And so it just sounds like you're on the edge of that, and that's okay. It's very scary sometimes in that place because you don't really have the survival mechanisms built up. You don't know what's to come, and so you just got to trust yourself. And it's hard to trust yourself when you've abandoned yourself to be in community with other people. And so I just want to send you love. And I know that it's hard to do this on live, and I appreciate you for allowing us to witness you today. I really do. All right, let's get another card for you. Yeah, because it feels like you're here to embody your oversoul, my love. Okay. All right, the threshold test. Good. Okay. And so the last two cards of like where you need to be moving, but where your energy might still kind of be out of alignment, is oversoul embodiment. Okay. This is about fear of visibility. This is about suppressing your light. It's about hyper awareness. This is about spiritual overwhelm, bypassing your body and identity confusion. Okay. So in the shadow side, the oversoul flame body can trigger a crisis of identity. And you may wonder, who am I now that I no longer feel fragmented? Or why does this coherence feel so unfamiliar, even terrifying, right? So there can be a fear of being too much, or of outshining other people, or being seen too clearly. And that usually comes from some type of past life memory of persecution or collapse that is rising through your field. And so you may try to hide your energy again, not because you doubt it, but because you remember what happened the last time that you were shining so brightly. And so this card invites compassion in, right? You're not doing anything wrong. You're just adjusting to your true voltage. And that is supremely fucking uncomfortable because you've never held that much light so boldly before. Okay. So the intensity of oversoul embodiment can overwhelm your nervous system if it's not grounded in practice. And so you may feel disoriented. You might feel disembodied right now, or like you're not quite here. Sometimes there's this temptation to spiritually ascend without tending to your body's needs. So you might abandon your physical self while chasing a higher image. And so what this card is reminding you is that divinity does not bypass the body, it arrives through it. Okay. And so your full presence is not dangerous. It is divine. Don't separate your spiritual power from your physical body. And so what this card is telling you of what's coming for the future is that you need to meet your own needs. You need to care for your body first, which means in order for you to get into your body's wisdom, or the language that your body speaks is feeling, right? Which means that you got to feel it even when it's uncomfortable, because the card we got before that was about vulnerability, right? And so this card is about fully seeing yourself, honoring what you need, even if people say you should not need those things, and doing it anyway, because The consequence of you not doing that is feeling pain and suffering. And pain and suffering is just telling you, have you reached your boundary in this area? You need something different, you know? And so what this card is telling you is that what your body needs is so important for you. Okay. It's so important for you to feel safe and comfortable in this environment. Right. And so you got to tend to your body now. If you wake up in the morning and you feel tired, don't try to do more. Right. Your mind is what jumps in and says, you got to do this. You got to be productive. You got to do that. Right. If your body is asking for rest, give your body rest. You know, when you have an emotion surfacing, go get you some snacks and figure out what's going to make you comfortable as you sit with that emotion, you know, instead of avoiding it or running away from it. Literally sit in it. It's very uncomfortable, but get you some snacks, you know, get you a glass of wine or whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. And then you need to mother yourself. Pay attention to what's going on inside of your head and ask yourself, do I actually believe this? And if you don't believe it, what do you want to experience instead? And then focus your attention in that direction. But we learn through repetition, which means we got to do it over and over again until it sticks. Okay. And so this card is basically saying, in order for you to get to this next step of oversoul embodiment, you have to stop being a star in the box. All of the things that you've built your identity around, let that shit crash down. You know, whatever's crashing down right now is sacred collapse. It is happening so that you can rebuild on a more stable foundation. Even though it may feel like failure, it's not failure at all. The board is being cleared so that your full self can fully land safely. Okay. But in order for your full self to fully land safely, there has to be space, which means you have to feel your feelings. That means you have to feel it, and it's uncomfortable and it sucks. I cried for like 3 years straight. Okay. It sucks. Right. But you got to sit with it, and then you need to alchemize it. And that alchemy looks like journaling. It looks like therapy. It looks like talking to your friends. It looks like creating art. Right. Alchemize it into something else. Okay. And then the last card that I get for you is the threshold test. Okay. The 9 of flames. Okay. This is where you're headed. Okay. Or this is where you're headed if we can't get this energy in alignment, right? If you can't start tending to your body, and that's giving up, burnout, isolation, a fear of failing towards the end, and then also martyrdom, staying in this martyrdom loop. Okay. So in the shadow side, this card reflects a dangerous silence. You may feel tempted to quit quit just before the flame would have birthed something new. You might isolate or think that you must carry this entire fire alone. And the threshold test basically is here to reveal the inner martyr. The one who carries everything, asks for nothing, and collapses under the weight of sacred responsibility. Okay. But the flame is not meant to break you. It is here to transform you. Okay. So the advice here is do not extinguish what you need. Do not extinguish what only needs rest to rise again. And so what this card is saying is, you need to rest. You need to stop trying to do more. You need to stop taking on everything. And whatever you think is a responsibility for you, or anything that you're doing out of force, out of obligation, out of duty, stop doing it. You walking away from things, or you leaving behind what is no longer serving you, is not you abandoning anybody. It is you realigning with yourself. Right. And so the shame and the guilt that you might feel for choosing yourself, you just got to nurture yourself through that, because if you don't, you're headed towards burnout. You're headed towards continuing these martyr loops where you're not meeting your needs and you're everything to everybody, but then no one is anything to you. And that feels supremely alone. What we don't understand about people pleasing is that's us trying to prove our worth through other people. And so we think we got to do more because society says that when we do more, we're rewarded. Right. But that's not what your soul needs. Your soul needs rest, because within that rest, in that stillness, is where your clarity comes, your confidence comes, where you can actually truly hear your voice and not the voice of fear. Right. And so it's where you surrender your ego and you allow clarity and conscious decision making to arise. And so what this card is telling you is that you have to learn how to prioritize yourself first. Proper support, nurture, and care of other people is built on the foundation of self-love. You love yourself in abundance, and then you pour into other people from your overflow. But the moment that you're no longer in an abundant state, you cannot pour into anybody but yourself. right? It's learning how to say no. I got to think about it. Don't make no decisions within 24 hours. You need to go and sit and feel into your body and see what your body wants to do. Are you doing this because you actually genuinely or want to do it? Or are you doing this because you feel obligated or out of duty? Are you doing it because you feel like you need to overgive in order for people to love you? Right? Because people pleasing robs us of genuine connections, because we don't realize that we don't allow people to show up for us when we in this hyper independence, right? Because we think we got to do everything by ourselves, but that comes from trauma. Hyper independence is not a flex. It means that people have disappointed you in your life, and now you don't trust people to show up for you. And so you don't even give them an option to disappoint you. It's you trying to protect yourself from pain, but also protecting yourself from happiness, because what if they are able to support you, but you just don't trust that support, right? It also robs you of genuine connections, because it's through conflict and speaking up for ourselves that we get to know other people. People don't know who you are if you say yes to everything, if you don't have any boundaries. They don't know where it ends, where you end and they begin, right? You have unconditional tolerance. So they know they can ask you for anything, but they don't know who you are because you haven't given them an opportunity to know who you are. A lot of times people don't know what you're going through because you don't say anything. Being a strong friend almost killed me because everybody thought I had it together, and baby, I'm over here crumbling. Right? And so what this card is basically saying is learn how to prioritize yourself, because what you think was meant to break you is actually initiation. It's forcing you into choosing yourself, forcing you into choosing something that is in more alignment with you. Okay, you were never meant to carry it alone. You're allowed to be witnessed. You're allowed to be seen. You're allowed to shine. And if somebody does not have the capacity to take that, then that is their problem, not yours. It does not reflect negatively on you. It just means that person doesn't have the capacity to receive you. So go get somebody who has a bigger container. Don't change yourself in the innocence and purity of your love, because it ain't nothing wrong with you. That person just doesn't have the capacity to receive you. So go get somebody else. A lot of times I think we internalize it as meaning that there's something wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you. That person, a lot of times when we've been through trauma, we choose people who need love, not people who can actually receive it. And so that is what I have to say about that. Okay. Next, we have a couple cards from the other Oversoul Codex. And the first card that I get is the Flame of Self-Sabotage. And this is patterns of distortion triggered by visibility, power, or potential that are resurfacing, which means that your protection patterns are ready to be rewired because you are meant to be seen, right? And so whatever you're telling yourself is that people are not going to accept you. People are not going to love you. People are not going to show up for you if you're fully seen in your capacity, right? You got to nurture yourself around that. Oh, and we got pale violet energy too. Okay. You're not broken though. It's just time for your protection systems or the things that protect you before to be rewired, because your circumstances have changed and you might still be operating based off of what the survival version of you needed. Okay. And so it's causing you to self-sabotage. Okay. And then also get a flame lineage. But for me, what's sticking out with the star flame lineage is the silver blue lineage, meaning you're supposed to be embodying this energy of sacred neutrality. People who have this energy are here to restore interdimensional access and cosmic memory, which means you probably look at the world in a way that most people don't look at the world. And so you need to treat yourself like you're special. Because if you don't, you're going to go around trying to get people to understand you who don't have the capacity to understand you or even perceive you, right? So this journey is about you learning how to meet yourself, see yourself, cleaning your mirror so you can transmit clearly. Okay. These are star seeds with light tones, dreamlike and crystalline in nature. They channel sound, movement, and galactic language. They walk between dimensions, and they restructure planetary grid systems and star codes. And then I get the pale violet energy, which is ethereal wisdom, subtle insight. These are the veil walkers and the dream walkers. But that violet energy comes with trauma. Okay. It comes with trauma, meaning you're probably going to feel a lot. This people who have this energy have access to the Akashic records in pre-incarnational memory, but it's buried underneath spiritual dissociation and reluctance to ground. And so you got to ground your energy, meaning you got to sit in stillness. You got to be in neutrality. There's something very neutral about where your energy needs to be. For me, I don't know what that is, but whatever it is that you're looking for comes through stillness. And so that means you got to feel the uncomfortable feelings. You got to slow down. You got to ground it into your body. Let me see if there's anything else that's coming up. Embodiment code. Yeah, you're here to embody. A new level of wholeness is anchoring right now. You are no longer speaking from memory alone, but from presence, which means you need to be in stillness, because presence comes through. Stillness comes through presence. This isn't performance. This is you walking as your truth. It's time for you to walk as your truth now, which means you're going to have to go against the grain. You know, all the things that you've been told, allow yourself to be different. Because if you're not happy with where you are right now, then the choices that you have made up until this point, they don't work. And so you got to do something different, which means you have to be willing to try something new, which is a bit scary, because it causes your ego to panic a little bit, because your ego likes safety. But you got to learn how to remother yourself and reparent yourself. If your kid was having these thoughts, what would you say to them? And then say that to yourself. But you want to acknowledge yourself and say, you know what? I hear you. I understand where you come from. Yes, maybe back in the day, this would have been the case, but we are ready for a new path now. Let me drive the car. Okay. So
thank you.
You are welcome, my love. Did you have any questions? Does it all make sense?
It makes sense. I don't have any questions.
Okay, my love. I'm going to send you some rituals to do, okay, through the chat. And if you need me, you let me know that you need me, okay? When you book a service with me through Telegram, you always have access to me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem, my love. I want you to have an amazing rest of your day. And I'm going to check up on you later, okay? All righty. Thank you, Kayla. All righty. So I just wanted to hop on y'all real quick to do that reading. For Kayla, this is gonna be on YouTube as soon as I hop off of here. I do have a client right now, so I do have to go ahead and head out. But thank you so much, Kayla, for allowing us to witness you today. The reason why I try to do these sessions on live is because sometimes we need to be witnessed, and sometimes just hearing what other people need to hear, or hearing what other people need to hear, could resonate with us. But also it just allows us to create a safe space for other people. I think a lot of us are going through things, silent battles alone. And so Kayla, a lot of people are sending you love through the chat. And we here with you, girl. What you're going through right now is very hard to navigate. And so if you ever feel like you alone, reach out. Don't think you're going to be a burden on me, because I've been there, and it's really hard to change. People think change is the easy path. It's not. And that's why most people don't choose it. And so I'm just proud of you all together for deciding to do something different. Okay. I'm very proud of you, and I want you to keep going. And again, if you need me, you have me through Telegram. Reach out to me. Do not feel like you are a burden on me. Please reach out. I want you to reach out, because I'd rather we keep you here than you end up somewhere else. Okay? So I'm sending you love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you for allowing this to be on live. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who are going through similar things. But you are going to be okay. We just got to make it to enough tomorrows. Okay? So I'm sending you love, Kayla. Thank you for allowing us to witness you. Y'all, this will be on YouTube. I love y'all deep. Happy healing. I'll talk to y'all soon. Okay? Bye. All right, Memory, I'm coming to you, girl.